Welcome to the Legendarium Green Team. I'm your host, Kiptan, and with me today are Chesky
Hello.
and Red.
Hello.
Today we have something special for you that we've been working on for several weeks, Book Bingo. Inspired by our fantasy, we've decided to make our own Book Bingo card for 2021. We're hoping it will spur extra discussion and exploration, and hope you all enjoy. In case anyone is unfamiliar with Book Bingo, the concept is simple. We've created a bingo card with 25 squares, each square containing a category description like portal fantasy or post-apocalyptic. Over the course of 2021, the goal is to read books that fit the categories on the card, one book per square and no repeating authors. You're allowed to count one reread for the card. If you make a line of 5, you've got bingo. If you're looking for extra difficulty, there's a hard mode for each square, which should make it a little trickier to find a match. The point of Book Bingo is to broaden your horizons, to make you pick books that you might not normally come across, to help you find authors you might not have found. It's easy to stick to familiar material and authors, but we're trying to ease the difficulty of finding new favorites by providing a community effort to help out. There'll be a raffle at the end of the year for people who have completed at least a line of bingo. Prizes have yet to be determined, but I'm thinking chocolate and books. You can find the bingo card and a detailed explanation of the rules on the Green Team Discussion Discord channel, as well as on our Twitter and the Legendarium subreddit. A spreadsheet of initial recommendations for each square is pinned on the Discord. Finally, this project would not have happened without Red, Chesky, Lady Sweden, Befuddled Panda, Eridandus, Torn My Egg, and the rest of our patrons who worked on it. Okay, that wraps up the bingo basics. Now, Red, Chesky, and I are going to recommend some books for the first column of the bingo card and hopefully get you thinking about what books you might want to read. First up, a non-heteronormative protagonist. I definitely suggested this one first, but I'd like to hear what Red and Chesky have to say. Red?
Well, I'm going to go with Murderbot. That's the Murderbot Diaries, which our podcast has covered and which are delightful and definitely not heteronormative. In fact, genderless.
Though I do think Eridandus suggested this one for me, so it's not technically my suggestion.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons we picked this one also is just it's something that a lot of people don't read, and that helps us make it easier for a lot of people to find it. Because there's a lot of books that you don't think about that have this. When you think about it that way, it makes it better for helps you expand those horizons, like we were saying.
They're definitely not the most advertised books, I will say. Like, only recently have they started to get the same advertising oomph behind them by their publishers as, like, a stereotypical straight white man book. And even then, maybe not quite the same oomph. My suggestion for it is Full Fathom 5 by Max Gladstone, because that fits our hard mode for this category of a trans or non-binary protagonist. Murderbot also absolutely fits there because Murderbot is non-binary.
I was going to say, for the rest of you normies like me who just go for normal mode, reading enough books is hard enough. You could read the Arcane Ascension series by Andrew Rowe. It's a simple non-heteronormative protagonist. It's a great, fun story, and they're quick reads.
Yeah, I'm going to need a lot of short books this year, guys.
Honestly, the craft sequence books are not that long, or at least they didn't seem that way to me.
No, they're fast and fun.
Yeah. Another one that I would like to recommend is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone. Same author, but fantastic. You might want to use that one for a different square on your cards, so maybe my recommendations for this square haven't been great. But but there's a whole bunch of options, and you can do all sorts of stuff with this.
Oh,
if you need anything, definitely ask me on Discord.
Yeah, I was going to say, as always, if you have any questions about what could or could not count, use your best judgment. But of course, ask somebody. We're more than willing to help figure that out, whether it counts or doesn't. No one's trying to force you to not count books, but we're just trying to follow the structure of the game. So.
Yeah, we're not coming over to your house and checking your books.
I will yell at you if you put Harry Potter as Portal Fantasy.
I won't. I promise. I promise. I won't do it. I didn't do it earlier either. I don't know who did it.
Okay. I make no promises not to quibble, critique, and argue, but I promise not to do it too much.
Okay. Well, Outlaw Magic Fantasy.
This is fantasy where, like, at least some magic in the world is illegal and punishable, and that it's a pretty central part of the story.
I prefer most of the magic, but that's not required.
Not required. Though, you know what? If you want to if you want to make things harder for yourself, I will never fight that. That's great. Love it. Love people pushing their boundaries even more. I love people trying to find like the most exemplary thing for, and I actually have one later on for a different category, which is excellent in that regard.
Oh man, I want to find a book that can fit 5 squares. That would be fun.
You can find a book, but
We've already
only
found
count
books
for
that fit
1
5 squares.
square.
Most
Yeah.
Wheel of Time books fit 5 squares,
Oh, that's probably true, huh? Yeah, they do,
Yeah.
I guess.
including this one, because in the Wheel of Time, male magic use is illegal.
And if you're caught using it, they kill you.
Well, half the time.
Not
And
always.
half the time it's a fate worse than death. But the hard mode for this one is lethal penalty. Use of the magic is punishable by death. And so we have another pod book series, which is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, where one of the magic systems is illegal and punishable by death. And it just might be one that our protagonist uses. Yay!
Another one that's quite popular, obviously, with the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, where it is illegal for most people to use or possess the magic system or other magic systems. And so that one fits as well in Under the Heart. If you haven't read Sanderson, most likely you have.
Well, Panda has not read Sanders.
She can use it then.
Another option is the Powder Mage series by Brian McClellan. Powder magic used to be illegal in this universe, and in one of the and it still is in one of the countries that's not the main setting. But because of that, it forms a central part of the premise because a lot of people are refugees from the country to the south that still has powder magic illegalized. And there is a novella set in that country, if you want to read that, called Forsworn.
So we have books that are older than 100 years with a hard mode of over 500 years old. Which
that hard mode is going to be fun and educational.
It will be, but you know what? I think that the older than 100 will be too, because I have a list of books that I just stuck in this morning. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Gulliver's Travels, Dracula, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, The Time Machine, and The Lost World. And these are all books that are in our popular culture. We've all seen, we see references to them all the time. And I've discovered that when you read these books, they're actually very, very different than popular representation. And they've also greatly affected how sci-fi and fantasy has developed. So it will also be educational if you don't want to go to 500.
I was talking to Red before the episode about how my first like real exposure to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was in the movie The Page Master. And yeah, it changed a bit. when I read it originally, I was like, "Oh, there's really a lot more chemistry in here than I expected. That's fun."
Yeah, and you usually think of him, the author for which is Robert Louis Stevenson. You think of Treasure Island or Robinson Crusoe. You don't think of that book. And it's interesting that he wrote in a sci-fi book too, basically.
Did you say Robinson Crusoe?
Wasn't it Robin? Didn't he write Robinson Crusoe?
Crusoe.
Whatever. You guys know I can't say names. Come on now.
And for greater than 500 years, you can really look into all sorts of mythology, such as Morte Arthur. You can do Norse mythology. You can do all sorts. One of my favorites, though, is the Nihongi, which is an ancient piece of Japanese literature and one of the oldest recorded books known to man. And it tells the Japanese creation myths and what has later been adapted into really Japanese religion and Shintoism.
You guys took all the good recommendations. So if you
No,
want over
come on now,
500, go for some mythology you could find. If you've never read the Bible, that would technically count because it's over 500 years old.
Well, just
I'm
Genesis.
uncomfortable blatantly calling the Bible fiction.
Well,
No,
okay.
it's not, but it is mythology.
Yeah,
it is mythology.
area I was going for.
I don't count mythology. Mythology isn't
If you just want to read the Song of Solomon, go ahead.
No,
Yes, of course, it's not a
Genesis, I
serious
would say.
It is
Yeah,
separately
just-
published as its own book.
Do you
Yes.
know that was like one of the most copied books in monasteries?
Well, of course it was.
That's bad. That's fine. All right.
Okay, anyway.
Our fourth topic, the fourth in our column, is a green team recommendation. So
This is our most meta category, and it is basically a free space.
basically, if you can get someone to recommend it to you from Green Team, that counts.
No, it has to be in a published episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has to
It's
be in a published Green Team episode. But yeah, Murderbot also fits here, as well as any book that we casually mention in any episode.
pretty much. Yeah. And the hard mode is you have to listen to our episodes because some of them are a little rough.
But you're not allowed to count any book or author that I'm clearly angry at in one of these episodes.
Come on,
Must be
Kev.
really
That
That
still
is not a
counts.
recommendation, that is a warning. It is not.
The hard mode for this square would be that the author does not have a channel in our Discord. So Butcher wouldn't count.
No Sanderson.
Sanderson doesn't count.
And it
those
also
ones.
means no Tamora Pierce.
That's true.
It also means no Bajol.
We don't have Bujol channel yet.
Yeah, we don't. Oh, that's
So
right. Oh, I'm
who's
sorry.
your first count?
I got that all switched around in my brain. It does mean you can read the Curse of the Five or the Curse of Chalion, but you might want to save that for a different square.
Yep. And for reference, I will be making a list of authors that have a channel at the start of this episode, and I will not be invalidating anyone who has a channel that gets added over the course of 2021.
Good, because
I think
Ellis and I
that's
want to
best.
talk.
That's it. I feel like that's fair.
Yeah.
And it allows me to be more organic with the server channels and create them as discussion arises.
Because Ellis and I want to talk about it enough in general chat that you add a Bajol channel.
Yes, you do. Yes, you both do. And if you both
It's a
talk
plan.
about Bujold enough, that's fine. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Written by multiple authors. This one has a whole bunch for the normal mode, but once you start getting into our hard mode, which is 3 or more authors, it gets a little bit more difficult. But this is where I'm going to reference Click, one novel, 10 authors, by David Almond, Owen Korfer, Roddy Doyle, Deborah Ellis, Nick Hornby, Margot Lanigan, Gregory Maguire, Ruth Ozeki, Linda Sue Park, and Tim Wine Jones. One book, 10 authors.
Nice. How long is it, out of curiosity?
It's not that long.
Okay. There's
I heard
a
about a novel like that where every author wrote a different, like a different chapter, but it was done with the purpose of being, satirical about publishing, and so none of the chapters fit together or made sense, and often changed the names completely, and so you never knew who was actually talking to who, and it was a bad book. But
That sounds
if you
fun
find it,
and
you can use
horrible.
that.
that sounds like a book that would be fun to do like a MST3K style episode on.
Yeah, Click is only 217 pages.
Nice. Amazon did this thing called the Mongoloid, I think is what it's called. That was like kind of like that too. I only read the first 4 or 5 chapters. It might be even the same book you're talking about, Chesky. I did not like it.
I don't.
So that's not a rec. Sorry.
No, that
guys.
one's not a wreck. A lot of normal mode authors, I can give a couple here. We have James S.A. Corey is a duo of authors writing that series. You've got Good Omen by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. And one of my favorites is Alona Andrews. It's a husband and wife couple that write under, and I highly enjoy all their books that they put.
I'm going to mention This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal El-Motar. And yeah, I think we're done.
Okay.
And I'm really looking forward to the discussion on this one because it's already started in patrons. But thank you everyone for joining us today. I look forward to the talk immensely.
Yeah.
Thanks Red and Chesky, and thanks Horizon Brave for starting everything.
Yeah.
So join us on Discord, join us on Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Guys, I have never done bingo and I didn't want to do bingo, and we started talking about it and I am so excited. I'm so
now you're
excited.
I've never done it before either. Yep.
I've done it multiple times. Have I ever completed it? No, because I'm a horrible goal setter for myself sometimes. But it
But have you gotten
encourages me
one
so
bingo
much.
line? Have you
Oh
gotten
yes,
one bingo line?
I've gotten
Okay,
one bingo
that
line.
counts.
I usually
Maybe
shoot
you
for
didn't get
blackout.
blackout. I I love people setting unreasonable goals for themselves.
Yes, it's true.
I also like people being happy when they achieve something. Like maybe they didn't get everything, but you got something out of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got so many new books read, so many great books read. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience. Maybe once or twice where I've read a book and been like, ugh, I didn't like it at the end. But partially that's me and partially that's just that Book Bingo's about having fun and reading new books. So how can you go wrong?
There you go.
Agreed.
There you go. Okay. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.